Mayor of the City of Malden, and I want to thank you and welcome you to the second annual reading of the town instructions. This is becoming one of my favorite events, and you'll find out why momentarily. But before we do, first I want to recognize a few of our officials that are here this evening. First, we have Ryan O'Malley, City Councilor from Ward 4. Ryan, thank you for being here. We also have our Police Chief, Kevin Molis. Where's Chief Molis? Chief, thank you for being here. So between him and the Charlestown Militia, we won't have to worry about any redcoats this evening. We also want to thank members of our Historical Society and the Historical Commission. If you could raise your hand. Thank you so much. And a big thank you to the members of our library, led by Doris St. Martin and Karen Wheatley. Where's Karen? I want to thank her, Dora, and her entire staff for helping us host this second annual event. So before we get into the actual reading, we thought it appropriate that we have Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if I could have them step forward. Let's give them a round of applause. And before we begin, we especially want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here this evening. There's no question that we have our challenges today, but they're not around the pride and spirit of our city. And your presence here this evening speaks to that. And so I just really want to say thank you for being here tonight. So I've been mayor now 4.5 years. I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, but nothing has impressed me more than these town instructions. I actually now have a copy in my office, and the number of times that people look at them and stare at them and marvel just what our community has done to get us here today. They just, as a matter of fact, they all ask for copies now. So we just couldn't be more pleased to be here with you this evening. If I wouldn't do it justice to really go into it, but I think Bill Fowler's article, which we have here this evening, graciously reprinted by the library, is titled For the Real Birthplace of the American Revolution, One Only Needs to Look to Malden. So I ask all of you to pick up a copy of that, and when you read it, I think, like me, you'll be completely impressed with just what Malden has meant to the United States of America. I think the piece of the article that I carry with me all the time is they asked, John Adams, when did the revolution actually begin? Was it when Congress voted the Declaration, or was it when it was approved? And John Adams remarked that it was neither of those. It was here when Malden, 2 months prior to the adoption and the vote, stated that we want to be a free and independent nation. And that was a very big risk back then. If we had guessed wrong, we're not here today. But because our forefathers were so committed to freedom and independence, they didn't care. They were going all the way. And testament to that is if you look at the last article of the instructions, they essentially told Congress that even if you should amend or change the Declaration, there's no need to get back to Malden, because regardless, we are committed to freedom and independence. So I thought it only appropriate this evening that we come together to recognize the significance of this historical document. And for the second straight year, we have Gardner's Regiment from the Charlestown Militia who are going to perform a reading of those sacred instructions. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Tom Coots and other members of the Gardner's Regiment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I begin, while I'm still in my 21st century voice, I just would like to say how wicked awesome this is. I've read these instructions over and over again, and the more I read them, the more I want to make clear to you good folks, before I begin, that this document could have been a sign of treason, which meant that every member who signed the document, every voting member in the town of Malden could have been hanged for treason had things gone a different way. That's how important this document is. And how important this document, in addition to that, tomorrow evening I'm doing a similar program up at Minuteman National Park where excerpts of numerous different town instructions will be read. I looked over the script. Malden's is the only one that will be read in its entirety because Malden answered every question that Congress had asked for with clarity. So there's a number of things that you folks should be proud of today, just as your forefathers were proud 200 years ago. So without any further ado. Good people of Malden, hear my words. For this day, I will read to you the town instructions. For it was at a legal meeting on the 27th of May in 1776 that you, the inhabitants of this town, voted unanimously the following instructions to be given to our representative, Mr. Ezra Sargent, in the Provincial Congress. To Mr. Ezra Sargent, Sir, a resolution of the late Honorable House of Representatives calling upon several towns in this colony to express their minds with respect to the important question of American independence. This is the occasion for which now we are instructing you. The time was, sir, that we loved the King and the people of Great Britain with an affection truly filial. We felt ourselves interested in their glory. We shared in their joys and in their sorrows. We cheerfully poured the fruit of all of our labors into the lap of our mother country. And without reluctance, we expended our blood and our treasure in their cause. These were the sentiments toward Great Britain, while she continued to act the part of a parent state. We felt ourselves happy in our connection with her, nor wished for it to be dissolved. But our sentiments are now altered. It is now the ardent wish of our souls that America may become free and independent states. A sense of unprovoked injuries will arouse resentment in the most peaceful. Such injuries these colonies have received from Britain. Unjustifiable claims have been made by the King and his minions to tax us without our consent. These claims have been prosecuted in a manner most cruel and unjust to the highest degree. The frantic policy of administration hath induced them to send fleets and armies to America, that by depriving us of our trade and cutting the throats of our brethren, they might awe us into submission and erect a system of despotism in America, to which should so far enlarge the influence of the Crown as to enable it to rivet the shackles upon the people of Great Britain. This plan was brought to a concise crisis upon the ever-memorable 19th of April. Oh, we remember that fatal day. The expiring groans of our murdered countrymen yet vibrate in our ears. We now behold the flames of their peaceful dwellings ascending to heaven. We hear their blood crying to us from the ground for vengeance, and charging us, as we value the peace of their names, to have no further connection with a king who can unfeelingly hear the slaughter of his subjects and composedly sleep with their blood upon his soul. The manner in which this war has been prosecuted has confirmed us these sentiments: piracy and murder, robbery and breach of faith. They have been conspicuous in the conduct of the King's troops. Defenseless towns have been attacked and destroyed. The ruins of Charlestown, which are daily in our view, remind us of this. The cries of the widow and the orphan demand our attention. They demand that the hand of pity should wipe the tears from their eyes, and that the sword of their country should avenge their wrongs. We long entertain hopes that the spirit of the British nation would once more induce to them to assert their own and our rights, and bring to condign punishment the elevated villains who have trampled upon the sacred rights of men and affronted the majesty of the people. We hoped in vain. They have lost their love of freedom. They have lost their spirit of just resentment. We therefore renounce with disdain our connection to the kingdom of slaves. We bid a final adieu to Britain. Could an accommodation now be effected? We have no reason to think that it would be fatal to the liberties of America. We soon should catch the contagion of venality and dissipation, which has subjected to the Britons and become a lawless dominion. We were placed in this situation the same as in the year 1773, were the powers of appointing to offices and commanding the militia once again in the hands of governors. Our arts and trades and manufacturers would be cramped. Nay, more than this, the life of every man who has been active in the cause of his country would be in danger. For these reasons, as well as many others, which might be produced if you should be, we are confirmed that the opinion of this present age would be deficient in their duty to God, their posterity, and to themselves if they do not establish an American republic. This is the only form of government to which we should see established. For we can never willingly be subject to any other king than he who is possessed of infinite wisdom, goodness, and rectitude, and is alone fit to possess unlimited power. We have freely spoken our sentiments upon this important subject, but we mean not to dictate to you, sir. We have unbounded confidence in the wisdom and uprightness of the Continental Congress. With pleasure, we recollect this affair under their direction, and we now instruct you, sir, to give to them the strongest assurance that, if they should declare America to be a free and independent republic, your constituents will support and defend the measure to the last drop of their blood and the last farthing of their treasure. Witness my hand this day, Samuel Merritt, Town Clerk, Malden, Massachusetts. Mr. Sergeant, I give you this instruction from the town of Malden to take to Congress.
3 cheers for our united American colonies. Hip hip! Hurrah! Hip hip! Hurrah! Hip hip! Hurrah! God bless the American colonies.
I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of having them do it all over again. What do you think? Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. And ladies and gentlemen, just can't say enough about you taking time out of your schedule to be here. We do want to remind you about some of the park celebrations coming up this weekend. Tomorrow, July 2nd, Ward 4 City Councilor will be hosting his July 4th celebration at Quartermilly Park, right off of Clifton Street. Ward 6 will also be going on at Trafton Park. Both of those events will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sunday night, July 3rd, beginning at 7 p.m. at Green Street Park, will be the annual outdoor movie night. That'll be hosted by Councilors Peg Crow and Paul Condon. And then on Independence Day, July 4th, Wards 1 and 2 will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Dever Park, which is located at Fellsway and Malden Streets. Ward 3 will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., hosted by Councilor John Matheson. That'll be at Amherst Park, Fellsway East, and Highland Avenue. Ward 5 will be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., hosted by City Council Barbara Murphy. That's right off of Sylvan Street. And Ward 7 will be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Lincoln Commons, at Cross and Bryan Streets. And then finally, Ward 8 will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Linden School Park, Salem and Westcott Streets. That'll be hosted by Councilor Sika. All right, everybody, so one more time, thank you so much for coming out. Have a great and safe Independence Day.